Hey there, everyone. Michael Damon here with you. And wow, we got red, and it's not the blue. It's completely different, right? And this is a personal, promotional video for a product. Even though I will be posting it on starbeam.one, I'm going to take advantage of that with my 13 subscribers. And I hope you can't blame me too much for that. But this is a promotional product video of a product that I am selling on starbeam.one. As you recall, if you've been following the stand-ups, is that I built starbeam.one to sell my art. That was the whole point of that. And I am beyond amazed that it is here, and I can finally do that with an e-commerce system, an e-commerce integration with my art. And you can see there, you can see the art that I posted for this. It's called Cause, and I'm going to describe it for you. Let's begin. Okay, so where to begin, man? So this is a journey that has been going on for over 10 years now, and it's difficult to believe and accept that, right? And this started back in Seattle, when I was in the Seattle area, and a special time in my life still is. I look back on that time very fondly, and back then I was really really big into Carl Gustav Jung with the Red Book. If you do not have a copy of the Red Book by Carl Gustav Jung, I highly recommend it. Please check it out. It is a very creative piece. It almost was not published. It wasn't published for the longest time because of the controversial contents of it. And basically has him talking to a persona of himself and then documenting that. And it was basically a conversation between him and a side of himself. That he does, that was not him sort of thing. And so you can see how that might be controversial. And, to me, I look at it as a work of art, and to me, art is a safe place, and this is a perfect example of that. So if you are experiencing something like that, make art out of it, right? Art is your safe space. It is the definition of a safe space. And with starbeam.one, I'm hoping to make that safe space something that you can sell and make money from. And, that's kind of the exciting component of that. But, getting back to what Carl Gustav Jung did, he made a book. He documented this thing that he was going through. And so, and the art in it is just amazing, calligraphy, especially, just this writing, it was all in German, and it's just a work of art to me, and so I was going through it, and, he was expressing his, documenting his, his condition, for lack of a better term. And, one of the things I kept going through is that there's a picture that I saw, and it's like this old man kind of like worshiping a deity, worshiping God, and kind of like praising God, his hands in the air, and just kind of just putting everything out there for God, right? And I couldn't find it. I could not find it. I went through it, and I was just like, where is that picture? And it started to bother me. And I was just like, where is this picture of the old man, the old wise man, worshiping God or calling God or praising God? I could not find it. And I still can't find it. And so it stuck with me. And I know that after I'm going to post this video, I'm going to look through it and, oh, there it is. I'm going to have a good laugh about it. And I hope that does happen, because it is still driving me nuts. I'm like, where is that picture? I know I saw it and I cannot find it, but it stuck with me. And, it stuck with me to the point where I drew a picture of it, and it was kind of like a rough draft. I was doing what I was doing now with starbeam.one, but in a less formal way. And I wasn't really all that disciplined with it either, and didn't go anywhere, but I did get a rough draft of that. And that was kind of the beginning, right? It stuck with me, and it stuck with me then, and it stuck with me until now. And I just started thinking, it's like, well, what is my first piece of starbeam.one? Because I had several pieces, and I landed on this, right? Just because of the history and kind of like that weird thing, like, where is this picture? And I'm just going to draw. I'm going to redraw it, and I'm also going to put a writing with it. And so that's kind of why I stuck with it, because it's a writing of a story, but it's also a prayer. It's a prayer to God. It's a prayer to life, to the universe. And it's something that I want to start starbeam.one with. And so we'll get into it. We'll explore that a little bit. And then it also kind of gives you a little preview of my worldview, and something that I'm going to be speaking of art as a safe place. A safe space I always talk about art being a safe space. And, if you're going to go through something, express it in your art. Well, this is what I'm doing here with starbeam.one, and it kind of like gives you a little bit of preview of my worldview, and we'll get into that. So let's look into the product here. Okay, so we're going to start here with the product storefront page, and I'm just really happy with how this has turned out. This has actually kind of been the focus here for the past 3 months during the alpha preview, and with the features that we've built, everything is there and working, and just really helps out a lot. So it's kind of, I'm just going to scroll through this and demonstrate what this looks like. And we've got a cover here. Shout out to Marco for helping out with those covers again. And I got a cover here that I uploaded. So, I'm kind of also showcasing, just to kind of give you a little bit more context, as an artist, as a creator, you can create these works of art and sell them on starbeam.one, and that's everything you see here is configurable. This is generated for that product when you publish it on starbeam.one, and that's what I've done here. So I assigned a cover, and as we'll scroll through here and we'll see, I have these preview files that kind of show you what this looks like before you actually purchase it. So you've got the image. Again, this is an illustrated text where it's an image paired with a text file, and in this case it's 4 pages, and so you can demonstrate here the product before people actually see it, so or before they actually purchase it, excuse me. And so that's kind of the thing, right? Of course I'm going to be recording a video here, so it sort of defeats the purpose, but I'm kind of showing this to as an example for other artists. If you want to post something here, again, no one sees your work until they actually purchase it and then view it from there, and we're going to see that here as an example. But if you want to do that, you can do that here with starbeam.one. You can provide a cover, and you can provide those images or assets. You can do videos, images, or audio files, so 5 of each, as you can see. So very happy with that. And you can also see here we've got a purchase price. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to purchase this with this account. It was another account of mine this is also in the staging environment as well. So we'll go ahead and purchase, and then we'll see the pricing here. Pricing can go up to 16 digits, and I have to clip them here after a certain point for display purposes. Otherwise, you'd be seeing 16 zeros or whatnot. I probably could tooltip that. But that's one of those things where it's like I'm going to be kind of like the blockchain and have just an insane amount of precision. And after a while, people, it just turns out people don't really care about that, and it's just one of those nerdy things to do. But we can do it if you want to. Just let me know. And so there you got the price, and then for every purchase, the way that starbeam.one makes money is by asking for a network gratuity, and that is part of it. You can also just drop that to 0 if you'd like, and just provide a note saying what you don't like about what we're doing, so that we can get to that 10%, and that sounds right to you. We're hoping to build a culture around that 10% for every transaction, because that's how we're going to pay the bills. That's how we're going to be paying for the hosting, for all the management and everything, as you will see. So, okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and buy this, and with a little luck, it's going to process that transaction and see how fast that is. Just really happy with how quick that occurs. Just a split second there. Basically, it looks like right now, just with no, performance issues, or performance optimizations or anything like that, we could do 3 sales per second right now. So it takes about 300 milliseconds, and that actually seems a little high to me. I'm probably going to look into that and see if we can improve that. But if we get up to like a sale a second, that would be amazing, like beyond anything that I've even considered. So I'm not really too worried about that. But there it is. It's very fast, and we can now move on to seeing what this looks like, right? So we're going to scroll down here to the view, and that's going to take to the product. And here, this is just the details of the product that I just purchased, and we can now launch it. And we're going to take that and move to the content. So now this is my own personal, this is secured to the account that I'm logged in with, and only this account can see this image. I can only see this protected copy of the license that was created. So that's what this is. So this is protected. Right now I can see that content that was hidden, right? And I'm recording for the whole world to see, defeating the purpose. But hopefully you get the idea that, not everyone is going to be able to do this, right? They're not going to record a video unless, they're like me and they're like, hey, this is my first, and I really don't care, and I'm kind of really excited, and I just want to show you how this works, sort of thing. And so now you can view it, and we're going to open that up, sort of like a CD, right? Or an album. We're taking taking the physical or the digital equivalent of doing the physical experience of buying something physically, and here you are. So this is the illustrated text. We're taking an image and we're taking a text and we're pairing the two. So this is a 4-page document, and I'm going to be reading that in a sec. But what I'm going to be doing here first is opening up this file and looking at the file. So there's two things happening. One is my machine. The reason why it's streaming like it's 1998 is this is whenever I film, it just goes crazy on my resources. But also, it seems to be a problem with Azure. So I've got that on a list of things to check out to see if we can get that streaming in faster. But here it is. This is the image, right? So the whole story here is that a warrior is wandering a labyrinth and wandering forever, right? It's just been a long time, and he is in this labyrinth, and then one day he enters a room that is like what you see here, and it is labyrinth is typically, this research on this is an enclosed area, so there really aren't any open areas based on from what I understand. But this room, in one of the rooms that he's wandering through, is an open clearance, and it has these two pillars, give and take, and that's what you see here. And so he immediately, when he sees this, he builds an altar for sacrifice, and he throws everything he owns into this altar, into this pit that is an altar for sacrifice, and then lights it on fire. And then after that happens, this goddess emerges and gives him a gift. And we're going to get into some of the storytelling or myth-telling components to this, but that is the general idea, and that's what this image captures here, is that encounter. All right, so now we're going to move into the reading. Okay, so now it's time for reading, and now just for a little warning here is that dyslexia and dyslexia does run in my family. So I've noticed that I kind of have problems with reading myself, and just having words in front of me is kind of making me nervous too. So it's just something to be aware of. If I'm stuttering a lot, that is why. I do appreciate your patience during that time, and we'll see how this treats me. And so here we go. And this is kind of a big event for me, right? This is like my first work, and it's sort of like, stage fright sort of thing. So, okay, here we go. Fingers crossed. Amidst the twirling strays of endless days, weaved within the wicked haze, finds one winding through the vast corridors of the one labyrinth steeped in lore, a wandered warrior so stout in doubt, having long since wondered of any out. So many days cast now, how many more last now? When one special turn of the day and appearance, under blue sphere a regal green clearance. Here now between the two pillars of give and take, and blinding leer of daylight break, the wandered warrior doth now soundly stake, with mired muscle and brittle bones, the grassy ground between two sacred stones. Those are the pillars. At once an altar for sacrifice, no thinking twice, digging pit as shallow grave, all belongings are thrown and paved. Alight the warrior's torch does wave, upon all value once making slave. With everything once owned now ablaze, ragged knees strike dirt of maze, eyes and hands skyward towards vision and fear. In this pillar she appears, the wonder, the glory, the attention. That's the goddess. Okay, so page 2. Bereft of delay, the warrior now doth pray. O goddess of mountain peak and ocean deep, of storied shores and mystery more, hear my prayer. I have walked your hallways for many a moon, traveled these causeways with strength and swoon, fought the path of love and hate, and struggled mightily with give and stake. Your blessing with me now, your protection with me now. Honor the sacrifice in accordance to your abundance. Lead me to my people. May success be our equal. May your divine grace and presence guide us safely into our providence. Great power among us may you send, countenances and mercy upon us all. Amen. Page 3. Now at once the warrior collapses. The violence folds, caked in ashes. Fallen and sullen the warrior now lies, removed of strength, soon to rise. At this time a rumble occurs. At this time the voice is procured. No more to seek, the goddess did now speak. O my humble servant, through darkness and light, you have served me through the bravest of fight. Take now this gift of mine, the elixir of earth, the finest of my wine. Partake this to enter communion with me. The most creative of my realms together will be. Some of my many forms, forged in storm. There you will be establishing bylaws and chapters for my antiquity, captivated by serenity and legacy. When all is done, I will meet you for more or less. For more or for less, awaken my loved one, now amongst the blessed. Final page. At this time, the horned guardian did roar. At its apex, sky is torn. A presence, a coalescence. Whew. Was not expecting that, but I got emotional. I'm still emotional during that. Like, really just fighting to keep everything together because it's just, it's meta, right? The story represents me, I feel. I didn't anticipate it that way, but it ended up being that way. And it's now like, wow, I feel like there's this cause, right? And that's why I kind of, there's the causeways, but it's also the cause. And of building starbeam.one and, give and take, and it's building a platform, right? It's huge responsibility. It's a huge, ambitious project, and I'm still emotional, still kind of flustered here with my thoughts, and I appreciate your patience in me getting through that. So, but yeah, just thinking about the responsibility of having a platform, a commerce platform, right, and handling the accounting and everything, and being responsible with that, it's huge, and it's one of those things where I've got a part of me that's like, this is the craziest thing you've ever done. You have to find a way to stop it, and you still can, right? No one's actually really purchased anything, and it's still back there. But another part of me is just like, this is what I've waited my entire life for. Getting back to the slide here, what did I just read, right? And I kind of got into it with a picture, right? Warrior goes through this labyrinth, and it's just, labyrinth's in a closed area. Then one day there's this clearance, and immediately he realizes he needs to make a sacrifice between these two pillars, give and take. And so, speaking of, there's a little detail there of the astrological signs, and the pillars, it's, I'm announcing this on my birthday as well, is that the pillars are the Gemini's sign, right? And that's kind of what I wanted to represent, that the Gemini is not represented in the symbols up top, but they're represented by the symbols. And so there's this sacrifice that takes place, and from our sacrifice, God's emerge, or God emerges, the universes emerge, because I think sacrifice is a huge element, is a huge theme of our existence, of our reality here on planet Earth. And so that is sort of what I'm capturing here with this story. And so, kind of finally here, this gift of the goddess is a theme. Speaking of themes, it's just an element of the power of myth, and that's a book I highly recommend if you're an artist or just someone who's just interested in storytelling. Joseph Campbell's, you probably know him from Star Wars. That's kind of where he got his start. He was an advisor on Star Wars, and he talks in this book about the gift of the goddess, right? And this is sort of like a redemption story, right? Like a warrior encounters conflict, and then there's resolution, and then there's this gift of the goddess. And so I'm also using Jung's active imagination. It's like, well, what does the gift of the goddess mean to me? And that's kind of what I've captured here. So hopefully that makes a little bit more sense about what I wrote. Getting back to dyslexia and whatnot, it's just like, I read a lot, and it's just like, what did I just read, sort of thing. So hopefully that adds a little bit more to it. Okay, so getting into themes, right? We talk about, my upbringing as a Protestant. I would still consider myself Protestant. I'm really familiar with it, with Christianity and whatnot. And, but I still find myself going back to the Old Testament, and especially with just reading the writing back then. There's a reason why it's stuck around for so long. And as we'll see here with Proverbs 8, it's just an excellent chapter, and just, all the writing is excellent anyways. And so I just keep going back to it. Another thing, as a Protestant, or being familiar with the Protestant faith, or Christianity, one thing that I feel that is overlooked a lot is the big guy, right? There is a Trinity, but everyone seems to focus on a son, rightly so, right? But let's also remember that, and also what we talk about in the Bible, that, God allowed that to happen, right? And the big guy, God, the big guy. And so, there's just what I feel is, we talk about the Trinity, but we miss out, or we gloss over, I feel at least, the big guy, the God. And so I keep going back to the Old Testament, and there's stories there that caught my attention after just kind of analyzing my work here, because I've had a lot of time developing starbeam.one, and just thinking about this work and how I'm going to post it, and I'm kind of like, yeah, that did happen, right? So there's Moses and the burning bush, and then but in this case there's this is the warrior's own making, right? The warrior makes the fire, and a deity talks to him through that. And so the other component I feel or recognize is that there's Adam and Eve, but with Adam and Eve there was a scapegoat, right? You had the snake, it was an evil person, but here it's a one-on-one, and it's a gift that's being given directly to the warrior, right? And so there's a little bit more of my worldview that we'll get into as time goes on, but kind of just looking at it from this perspective now with this gift, this one-on-one, and that gets back to like personal responsibility, right? And I'm a real big fan of that, and people who know me that even with my mistakes, and I've made a lot of them, I'll own it, right? No matter how crazy I get or with the mistakes that I make, I own that, and I'll apologize for it, and I have apologized a lot. I feel like my whole life is an apology tour, but if I do something, I own it, and I feel personal responsibility is a huge quality. Is very important to me, and no matter how embarrassing that might be to you as a person, that still to your ego, you have to put humility down there, even if it takes a little time, and own that, right? And that's sort of really important to me, and that's reflected here with my art, sort of like Adam and Eve, but one-on-one. So then finally we've got this notion of rebirth, right? And so I didn't really notice this until I saw my dude naked there. I drew this character, and I'm like, he is naked, huh? And I drew it with like making sure that I felt that it was anatomically correct, and that it looked correct. But I was just like, well, he did sacrifice everything, and so through the power of perspective, I did try to hide everything. But he is naked, and there is this notion of being born again or a rebirth, and so that's sort of another theme here as well. And I just kind of wanted to explore that and get that and identify that and share that as well. All right, next slide here. All right, so, final slide here. You just can't talk about this goddess. Who is this goddess? Well, it's art. It's whoever you'd like it to be, right? And that's kind of the cool thing about art. But, since I'm making a video of this and I've spent so long obsessing about it and putting it into an actual product that I'm going to be selling, why not? I'm going to talk about my findings about who this thing is, this entity, this deity. Well, it started with me back when I was learning Jung, right? And Jung, just talking about psychology, his whole point was integration. So you integrate these archetypes, or these archetypes are part of your psychology, and you do integration work to heal if you've got broken parts of your psyche, sort of thing. And there's this anima archetype where it's for males, and females also have an equivalent called the animus. And I know gender is a sensitive topic these days. It's the gender that you identify. That's perfectly fine. You end up in the same place. And so in my case, I identify as a male, and that for me is the anima. And so for the anima archetype and for the animus archetype, there's 4 stages. And the fourth and final stage is called the soul image. That's kind of like the thing you've totally integrated it and you've accomplished it. And then it was also called Sofia, and it really interested me. So I started to learn more about who the Sofia was, and it is the goddess of wisdom. And so, there's different interpretations. You could think of it as Mother Earth as well. I kind of like thinking of the thought that Sofia is Mother Earth, and God made Mother Earth to communicate with us. And so, maybe our one of the lessons we're here to learn is wisdom, right? And we do that with our surroundings through the Mother Earth. And so that's kind of how I look at it. That's probably the best interpretation that I have with it. And I'm still working on it. As an artist, you're always constantly working on your worldview. And that's kind of one of the goals that I hope to accomplish with Starbeam.one, is to kind of flesh out what this worldview means. And so kind of getting back into the themes, I did speak about a little bit about this, about Proverbs 8, just a wonderfully written chapter. And this is writer goals, right? Just reading this, and if I had the courage, I would read it. I'm just kind of defeated from my previous reading with all the flubs that I had, but just read it. It's just a really well written chapter, right? And most of the Bible is, but you get a kind of a sense of what wisdom is all about, and if you've seen our society lately, we all could use a little wisdom. It's kind of how I look at it. I know I can, and it's something that I'm always looking for. But getting back to final thought here with like integration, right? Integration work. Another way I look at it is, we talk about are like the alpha male, like Conan the Barbarian, right? And you also think about the old wise man, right? And those are they're still male, but they're different, right? And what's different? What's different about wisdom that makes that old wise man not Conan the Barbarian, right? He still might be an alpha male, but he's not as aggressive, right? It's sort of like that interesting dynamic that happens when you have alchemy. You introduce this one element, which is the alpha barbarian male, and then you've got this female element, this feminine element, and you combine the two into the old wise man, right? Hopefully that makes a little bit more sense and adds a little bit more to my research here. All right, move to the final slider. at the end of every filming that I do, I always get a little, I fret over the time that I spend, and I know I probably shouldn't talk too much, but on the flip side, if I'm really just trying to make these promotional and snappy in 4 or 5 minutes, you don't really get to know who I am. And in fact, it might raise your suspicion a little bit. So hopefully you gain a little bit more perspective of who I am as a person, especially, kind of getting back to that responsibility of owning a platform and running a platform where money is exchanged. I think it's valuable to spend these extra few minutes, especially with this first product. I don't expect to spend every product with this much time. So, there's a little bit of value in taking that much time. But, to round this out, just want to thank everyone out there for your time, number one, and also your likes and subscriptions, your support, your feedback, and now hopefully your purchases, right? I got used to saying that, and it's beyond humbling to me to be able to say that I have built a platform where I can sell my digital art, and not just for me, but for other artists and my friends as well. My artist friends I'm talking to 2 right now, hope to onboard them within the next day or so. Might take a little longer than that, but being able to do that is just beyond humbling and exciting for me, and I'm very thankful and very grateful. And I wanted to thank everyone for that. And so I'm just kind of round that out. Thank you so much again for your time and all, everything. And appreciation. We're here, right? And I will see you out there. And until next time, stay bright and be safe out there. Goodbye.